First Warning Weather with meteorologist Kristen Curry.
Flood watches are out across Central Texas, and we're getting ready for wet weather. Here's a look at our flash flood threat map right now. Thanks for joining us. I'm Tom Miller.
Hey everyone, I'm Sally, and on this meteorologist Kristen Curry has been getting you ready with what you can expect to see today.
Yeah, this all kicks off overnight tonight. So as far as what we need to be mindful of, we need to be mindful of the fact that we have one more full day of relatively quiet weather. I say that only because, yeah, you could sneak in one or two little isolated storms before the main event, but this is for what's going on tonight into tomorrow morning. That's a 2 out of 4 risk for flooding across most of Central Texas. Cloudy skies as seen from satellite. Radar is not picking up much. It's possible to find a little pocket of light rain this morning. I did this morning on my way in, so it's not impossible, but it's not going to be anything that I would get too worried about. That comes tomorrow. So what are we looking at temperature-wise? Well, these numbers are actually warmer than even where we were yesterday. Significantly warmer to start as we are well into the 70s across Central Texas. Temperatures up 2 to 6 degrees out there. So we're going to hold on to these warmer than normal temperatures, not only in the morning, but in the afternoon as well. We go right back to 90 degrees today. Our rain chances will stay at about 10% through the morning, afternoon, and evening, but then they do pick up in a very big way overnight into tomorrow. We've been warning you all week long that Saturday and Sunday would be the 2 main days of rain, and that is still on track here. We've got significant rain and even the risk of some strong to severe thunderstorms out there. We're talking hail and damaging winds within some of those heavier downpours. Flood watches have been issued. That was something the National Weather Service did around noontime yesterday. It kicks in this evening, and it's going to hold through the entire day tomorrow at the very least. Wouldn't even surprise me if they extended that into our Mother's Day. It's going to be a busy day. We got lots to talk about. I've got those details for you here shortly, but I do want to remind you, you can say weather where? Through the First Warning Weather app. This is a totally free download. If you've got your phone in your hand right now, point it right there at that QR code on the screen. It'll take you right to that download page and a spot where you can actually share your photos to us as to what it's going to look like later on into the weekend here. So it's going to be a very valuable resource moving forward. We'll talk more about your forecast here in a few minutes.
Thank you, Chris. And we have some breaking news in East Austin this morning. Both directions of 7th Street are closed after this. Police say a car officers were chasing hit a train. And this is a live look at that scene right now. Police say they suspect the driver was drunk. Our photographer on scene says it appears that it's a freight train that was hit. Officers attempted to stop that driver at East 7th and Netja Streets around 2:30 this morning, but the driver took off. Police say that driver then hit the train at this crossing here at 7th Street and Northwestern Avenue, just west of Pleasant Valley Road. The driver did go to the hospital with critical injuries. And this morning, Title 42 is now officially over. The U.S. lifting the COVID-era policy overnight.
Expired at midnight, and some of the first migrants were seen overnight crossing the border. A video that we have of a group near El Paso doing that. Hundreds waited outside. The government estimates another 65,000 migrants might be at the U.S.-Mexico border waiting to cross. Here's a look at the Yuma port of entry in Arizona, north of Mexico. The water and snacks there provided as migrants waited hours to be apprehended by Border Patrol. Yuma Mayor Doug Nichols says 141 migrants are expected to be released into the county today. And he made that announcement during a press conference where he was urging President Biden to declare a federal emergency at the border. A federal emergency declaration would end up giving more money to the areas. Critics of the Biden administration say lifting Title 42 will spark a wave of migrants.
Every American needs to say to the Biden administration, you were elected to enforce the law. Enforce the law.
It's part of a group of Republican senators, including Ted Cruz in Brownsville, Texas. This is some new video from overnight as those senators toured the border right before the policy lifted. Last night, they talked, calling on the president to make a policy change.
This is a decision that was made by President Joe Biden and Kamala Harris and congressional Democrats to open up the border.
People who cross our border unlawfully and without a legal basis to remain will be promptly processed and removed.
Homeland Security Secretary Alejandro Mayorkas is saying the lifting of Title 42 does not mean the border's open. And this morning, he is talking on the Today Show with the latest on the immigration enforcement effort.
So with Title 42 that's now expired, U.S. border policy differs back to the decades-old Title 8. What does that mean? Well, it creates a paper trail. It also requires screening for asylum claims. It adds stiffer penalties. Anyone removed under Title 8 faces a 5-year ban on entering the U.S. Breaking news from overnight. Dozens of House bills are dead this morning as a crucial night in the legislature just wrapped up.
Texas lawmakers racing against the clock trying to pass this legislation. That deadline was midnight to pass the bills in the Texas House, but any bill that didn't yet pass through on a second reading by that deadline is now dead. The Texas Tribune reports more than 140 House bills were in the scrap pile. Among them, one that would raise the age to buy a semi-automatic rifle from 18 to 21 years old. That bill was not scheduled on the calendar in time to make the deadline. Meantime, a special day in San Marcos today as Texas State graduates are going to walk across the stage for commencement. Today is the second of 3 days of graduation ceremonies. The last ceremony is Saturday afternoon, and don't be surprised if you see these grads taking part in a tradition there, jumping into the San Marcos River in full cap and gown despite the rain. And Austin Community College is also having its spring commencement ceremony today. It's going to be at the HEB Center in Cedar Park tonight at 6. Congratulations to all the grads.
Elon Musk is stepping down as the CEO of Twitter. What his involvement in the company will be following his decision.
And how much of a raise are you expecting this year? Why you shouldn't plan on the same bump that you may have seen last year.
Good morning, everyone. This is a live look at one of the cameras that we have for you all over Central Texas. This one's the Estonian, 700 feet above ground, showing you the skyline right there. Kristen has the latest when it comes to your forecast and why you're definitely going to need it as you prepare for a rainy day. Transportation Secretary Pete Buttigieg is raising concerns about Tesla's marketing, and this while the car company remains under investigation after 14 people were killed in crashes. Now, Tesla calls it partially automated driving system autopilot, and he says that the company shouldn't even be marketing vehicles that way because the cars cannot actually drive themselves. In an interview with the Associated Press, he said, quote, "I don't think that something should be called, for example, an autopilot, when the fine print says you need to have your hands on the wheel and eyes on the road at all times," end quote. Investigative teams have been sent over to 30 crashes since 2016 involving Tesla suspected of operating on autopilot or its full self-driving system.
Elon Musk is stepping down as the CEO of Twitter. In a tweet, he says an unnamed woman will start as the new CEO in about 6 weeks. Musk says he will stay on as the executive chair and chief technical officer, along with having a product role. He bought the company for $44 billion last October and fired top executives. He also laid off hundreds of employees. The Hill now reports that the social media platform is worth less than half of what he bought it for, about $20 billion. Several Tesla investors became concerned Musk was too distracted with running Twitter and wanted him to redirect his time back to Tesla. We are continuing to watch for flash floods throughout Central Texas. The latest with that incoming weather.
A man fed up after finding strangers living on his property makes an interesting discovery on his roof.
Good morning. A live look outside here at 4:45 on your Friday morning. We are at the end of the week, but you're really going to have to pay attention to the weather during this weekend. There are going to be flash flood watches going up all over. Kristen Curry is here tracking that.
Absolutely. And, you know, we're not the only ones watching for this flooding risk. Crews across major cities here and major areas across Central Texas, they're too getting ready. KXAN Sarah Alshay has been following what counties and those cities are doing to prevent major flooding.
Drains getting cleared in preparation for some heavy rain showers.
Weed eating, cleaning out, making sure there's not brush. We're going to storm drains, making sure those are clear.
Aaron Reed, the City of Dripping Springs Public Works Director, says they do this anytime they expect severe weather. And with storms coming this weekend, they're taking steps to prevent any high waters.
Keeping all the brush and all those things cleaned out. Things that might get washed downstream and then stack up at a storm drain, making sure that the water's able to flow and go through and go where it needs to go.
Ann Clerkin in Dripping Springs says she's bracing for the storms as well.
Just make sure we have everything in. So if we need food or water or just normal things, we make sure we don't have to run out and go anywhere.
This viewer video shows past flooding around low water crossings in Dripping Springs, and Clerkin says she's concerned about that happening again this weekend.
And we've had issues where it's just running across the street and you have to turn around, you really have to turn around, don't drown.
So Clerkin says she won't take any chances, deciding to stay indoors and not risk it.
And I'd rather be home stuck than somewhere else in my car, so yeah.
Now, the city of Austin is also urging people to prepare for the storm, doing things like gathering enough supplies to last for several days, as well as keeping the cell phone charged or a battery-powered radio to monitor local weather conditions, mirroring what we've been warning you about all week. So the time has come.
Yes.
And I know as we get closer to a storm, the forecast really starts to dial in. You're better able to see when things are going to arrive. Have things changed at all, or are we still right on track?
Slightly, but not enough to lower my confidence. So let me show you what's going on here, because clouds and radar this morning indicate not a whole lot in the way of falling rain, but you could run into some mist, a couple little sprinkles here. It's a cloudy start, but I'll tell you, storm system up to the north is going to send down a boundary. Got a couple different disturbances headed our way. Everything is coming together here for some impactful weather this weekend. We start with temperatures in the mid-70s this morning. It is very comfortable out there. I mean, it is mild, it is humid. We've got plenty of moisture to fuel these storms and showers getting into the later part of the day. Those dew points in the 70s. I mean, that's like tropical air sitting on top of us. Your day planner shows 70s warming to near 90 degrees, so similar to yesterday. Hot and humid for your Friday afternoon and evening. Those storm chances will be at about 10 to 20% through the day. It's not until the overnight hours do we really expect the widespread rain. So let me walk you through what one model is showing our future radar could look like as we start the clock from now and stop it around lunchtime. Here's that 10 to 20%. I don't think everybody's going to get rain today. I think it's going to be very few and far between as far as those storm chances go. But then we start to see kind of this lull, the calm before the storm, if you will, later this evening. Watch as things really get active here overnight. This is 2 a.m. tomorrow morning, and we've got not only heavy downpours, but also the risk of some of these storms being strong to severe overnight into Saturday morning. Still likely to see scattered showers and thunderstorms tomorrow morning. And then we're going to continue to watch these rounds of storms go in and out over Central Texas through the day on Saturday. So it's important to know it's probably not going to rain every minute tomorrow, but it's going to be impossible to track when those rounds come in, when they leave, because one's going to affect when the next round comes in. So we just want you to stay home, let those thunderstorms, let those showers pass, because it's going to be some pretty heavy rain coming out of them. Flood watch kicks in this evening, continues all day tomorrow. Still a 2 out of 4 risk of flooding tonight into tomorrow morning. Most of tomorrow, we are going to be looking at an increased risk of flooding, but I don't want you to write off the severe storm threat too. I know these maps kind of get confusing here with the colors and the risks and whatever. I want you to know that there's a risk of flooding tonight and there's a risk of severe storms tonight. There's an increased risk of flooding tomorrow with the lower severe weather risk, if that makes sense. So let me break down what we can expect as far as accumulation. 3 to 6 inches of widespread rain still on track for Central Texas. And a lot of that's going to come down, I think, in a very big amount here, 1 to 2 inch per shower. And that's why with repeated rounds of storms and showers, we expect that rain to add up fairly quickly. 90s today, mid-70s tomorrow. Those showers and storms really taking a hit with those temperatures. And you'll notice Sunday, Mother's Day, an 80% chance of rain. We have more storms and showers expected through at least the first part of tomorrow. Temperatures will be in those 80s. Erica?
All right, thank you so much, Kristen. Following breaking news this morning at 4:50, you're looking live here at the scene in East Austin. Both directions of 7th Street are closed. Austin police say a car that officers were chasing hit a train at the train tracks there at 7th. This is a live look here. Police say they suspect that the driver was drunk. Officers attempted to stop the driver actually on East 7th and Netchess Streets around 2:30 this morning, but then the driver took off. The driver then hit the train at the crossing at 7th Street and Northwestern Avenue. It's just west of Pleasant Valley Road. The driver was taken to the hospital and unfortunately, we just learned, did not make it. So we are following that for you. For 7th Street drivers, follow the reroutes. There are options, Cesar Chavez, that sort of thing, but just plan for 7th Street traffic around that intersection to be very busy. Now the rest of the Austin area, luckily on this Friday morning, is quiet. This is a live look at I-35 in North Austin at Middle Fiskville. But here is where that train crash is. Again, 7th Street, very close to Pedernales, west of Pleasant Valley. So plan accordingly if you travel in East Austin this morning. Tom?
Okay, thank you so much, Erica. Travis County leaders are already looking ahead to the next election.
Yeah, they're preparing a $450 million roads and parks bond for voters to weigh in on. Bond committee members are working through nearly 30 projects under construction. The election will come 6 years after county voters last approved 2 bond packages back in 2017. Residents gave the green light to more than $93 million for a roads package, nearly $92 million for parks enhancement. The Travis County judge, Andy Brown, tells KXAN more improvements are needed as the region continues to grow.
Travis County and Austin have grown tremendously since then. And so what this bond is doing is trying to make sure that we still have the same quality of life, the same, access to roads, parks, open spaces.
We have more details on what projects are under consideration on our website at KXAN.com. Okay, that raise you got last year will likely be bigger than what you end up getting this year. Hopefully, new numbers show worker raise expectations are off from what employers plan to pay out.
Yeah, we're in different circumstances now, and I talked to the Austin Business Journal's Will Anderson about how much more you can expect. Let's start with a look back. How big have raises been in years past, and what's been driving that?
Yeah, with more jobs out there open and they're all people looking for work, and employment's been quite low. Raises have been at historical levels for the past few years and hit about 6.7% late last year, year-over-year increase in salary.
This year, people are expecting more big raises again, but it might be different. Why is that?
Yeah, I think there's a gap between what people are experiencing, obviously higher inflation, higher grocery costs, and employers now who are looking forward to perhaps some economic turbulence in the near future. So the forecast now is for not quite as high raises this year, which could be disjointing for some people.
Specifically in Austin, you looked at some of our numbers here. We're a major tech hub, some big time companies. Can we expect different raises from the national averages?
I think we'll fit pretty much in line. If you look at the federal data, wages are up about 1% year over year. Weekly wages are up about 1% year over year in March, which is behind Houston, behind Dallas, close to San Antonio. That's because it already grew so much. So you're already seeing some cooling happening, and the forecast is it's not going to improve much in the future.
How about if you are about to negotiate a raise, you're interested in making more money, do you have some advice for what to say to your boss?
Well, some of the best advice that I've heard from experts is kind of leave the macroeconomic stuff at the door. Yes, we know inflation is higher, we know prices for a lot of things are higher, but that's not going to affect your manager as much as talking about accomplishments you've made in the past year, things you've brought to your team, or how you've improved the business.
Okay, Will Anderson with the Austin Business Journal, some good advice. Thank you, Will.
Thanks.
Well, in addition to Title 42 ending, so is the COVID-19 National Public Health Emergency Declaration. Austin Public Health's COVID-19 dashboards are being updated to reflect that change. Throughout the pandemic, federal law allowed for continuous Medicaid coverage, but that coverage is over. APH will continue to offer COVID-19 vaccines through the Shots for Tots and Big Shots programs, as well as the mobile vaccination programs, community events that they have out there. At-home COVID-19 test kits are still available at APH neighborhood centers, at least until supplies last.
This is KXAN Sports, brought to you by Thomas J. Henry.
Hi, good morning to you. A little earlier baseball than scheduled. Longhorns will play a doubleheader today against San Jose State, and then well, try to figure out Game 3 either tomorrow or Sunday. The doubleheader starts at 2 o'clock this afternoon. Dylan Campbell will come to the plate this afternoon, riding a school record 27-game hit streak. He broke the record on Sunday against Kansas, and when you think about a program that's played baseball for over 100 years and he's done something nobody else in the history has, well, kind of makes him speechless.
Honestly, I'm not going to lie, not really. It's kind of doesn't really feel real at times. Like, I kind of don't understand how big of a deal it is. Like, I kind of got people in my family like texting me like, do you know how cool this is? And I'm just like, yeah, I don't really understand it yet, but I mean, maybe after the season's over, when I get a chance to like kind of get out of the flow of things, and I'll maybe like realize how cool it is.
I really appreciate the way our players in the dugout reacted, because it was low key the whole time. And then he gets it, and everybody reacted, and the KU pitcher threw the ball back, which I thought showed some class, which was pretty cool.
Big 12 softball, Mike White's club got swept to close the regular season by Baylor and down 6-2 to Texas Tech in the first round. But Katie Seamus, bottom 7, leads off with a home run. It's 6-5. Vanessa Quiroga going the other way, and just like that, Longhorns tie it up. Then they go to extra innings, and now Texas Tech loads the bases on a hit batter, and then, well, the winner is on a wild pitch. Longhorns survive, so they get that win into the semifinals against either Oklahoma State or Kansas. That game was suspended because of lightning, so they'll finish that today. Texas will take on the winner of that one later this afternoon.
Thanks for joining KXAN News today. You can also listen to KXAN News Nightly every weekday after 5:30 p.m. for in-depth coverage on what matters most to you.